Jobs cut, mail deliveries slashed. New Zealand Post is a business in trouble. Up to 2,000 jobs will be lost from its 10,000 strong workforce in the next 3 years, and it's all part of a new restructuring plan. The government has already agreed to allow New Zealand Post to reduce its urban service from 6 days a week to 3. The Posties Union, the EPMU, says it had little warning of the job cuts and it describes them as cruel. The Chief Executive of New Zealand Post, Brian Roche, joins me now. Good morning, Mr Roche. Thank you for coming in this morning. How long will it be, do you think, before you axe the letter postal service altogether? And I'm not talking about parcels here, I'm just talking about letter post.
We don't think we will be there anytime soon. In fact, we talk in the span of 20 to 40 years.
Really? You still think we'll be posting letters in 40 years?
Yeah, we do actually. I mean, at the moment we carry 750 million items. Evidence from overseas at some point it will tail off, and that's the bit that we're trying to get across to the unions particularly, is we are talking about a future for letters, but it is on a different scale to that which we've had in recent past.
Do you ever foresee a time when the only way New Zealand Post perhaps will survive is if it's subsidised?
No, I don't actually. I think at some point, and I think it is a distant future, we won't have letters in the form that we know. There may be another form of communication. And if you were sitting here in 1980 and projecting what was going to happen now, I think that would be a real challenge. We've got the same thing. Technology is only going to accelerate, and we have to recognise that.
If you look around the world at the moment, there is a move, it seems, by governments to privatise postal services, and particularly here I'm talking about Britain at the moment. Is that something we should be looking to do as well?
Ultimately, that's a matter for the government, but I think they're very clear that the New Zealand Post Group is not part of the mixed ownership model.
At the moment, but is it a smart thing to do though?
I don't think so. I think, you know, I question why would you invest in a business which is actually looking like it's in a state of decline. So, you know, that's obviously an investment decision. But these changes are nothing to do with preparation for anything like that. These just reflect the reality of our business.
You say it's in a state of decline, though, don't you? I mean, you said we're still going to have this postal service in 40 years. Why would you privatise if it's in a state of decline? Is that the case? Well,
because if you were going to price this, you would price a lot more risk than is actually there. So I think our focus is how do we create a model which is viable, you know, for, let's say, 5 to 10 years. And, you know, that we think we can do that. That's what these changes are about. They're not sort of some philosophical right wing. This is about how do we get a business that people can rely on for the delivery of mail.
And I guess the government in the past has said that, you know, governments aren't the best to be running an organisation like these type of assets, and we've seen that with the electricity assets. If you were to privatise, you would likely generate more capital, you would be... Yeah. You would encourage more innovation, you would encourage more competitiveness.
Potentially. I mean, New Zealand Post is already in a highly competitive market on every service it provides. So I'm pretty comfortable with our record of responding to competition and innovation. The key thing for us was to get the changes in the deed of understanding to give us the flexibility that truly allows us to innovate to meet today's and tomorrow's customers' needs, not last century's.
When do you think the next cuts will come?
Look, I don't know, and I'm not going to sort of lie about that. I think if we've got to continue to modify and respond to market demand, you know, as we've said, this isn't about the performance of our staff. You know, they do an outstanding job. This is about a market phenomena where people don't send letters, and in the same way, you know, we just have to address that. In the 1980s and early 90s, we went through this on home milk deliveries. Everyone buys their milk at the supermarket. We're not talking about that, nor are we talking about an analogue TV situation where we literally switch it off. We're talking about modifying and responding.
You're maintaining a retail presence, a retail branch presence. Yep. Is that largely really to support Kiwi Bank more than it is New Zealand Post?
I think we have mixed objectives there. I think the Kiwi Bank is definitely a huge part of the group's future, but we still want people to access our service. We still want them to be able to deposit parcels and pick them up and all of that. So, you know, the retail is an important part of our brand presence and something that we, you know, hold very dearly.
Could you be scaling it back at some stage?
we've been modifying and scaling back all of the time in the last 10 years. Ultimately, if it's not used, we have to address that problem. It's not there as some form of a library that people go.
And so are we likely to see more suburban post offices, post shops closed down? You're keeping the rural presence, but could we see that? Is that a reality here?
No, we're committed to providing 880 points of presence. The challenge for us is what those points of presence provide and how, and ultimately we see our services should be housed in someone else's businesses. We already do that. It's what we call an agency model. It's very successful and it's a great customer outcome.
All right, Brian Roche, New Zealand Post CEO, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.